You are the main character and the starter Pokemon. You spawn in a random location, it could be Unova, Johto, Hoenn, Kanto, etc. And you didn't get to choose your parents. In Hoenn, your dad is a seasoned trainer and a gym leader. You could be born as a regular NPC. You could be born as Blue and have your dad be a professor. But nevertheless, you're on your pursuit to become the champion. This pursuit of becoming the champion symbolizes your hypothetical ideal self. It's a journey of self-exploration and self-improvement. Next, let's talk about the starter Pokemon. Your starter Pokemon is an intimate extension of you. While the Pokemon games let you choose some things about your starter Pokemon, it's still largely randomized. While you do get to choose the Pokemon itself, one of 3 different Pokemon, you have no control over his IVs, and still relatively limited control over the types of Pokemon that you can actually choose for your starter Pokemon. The IVs, or individual values that come with said Pokemon, are quite literally your Pokemon's genetics. In your pursuit of reaching your optimum, you are constrained by your God-given genetics. You are also given a randomized nature, or rather, in Pokemon and in real life, you have your nature bequeathed to you by one of your parents. But since you have no control over who your parents are, this too might as well be randomized. In real life, your IVs aren't HP, attack, etc., but rather things like strength, endurance, looks, and IQ. And similarly, your nature guides you towards where you fit best. If you're naturally adamant, perhaps you'll receive a boost in endurance. If you're modest, maybe it'll boost your look stats. And maybe if you're naturally relaxed, it boosts your IQ stat. Don't take these examples too seriously, they were just meant to get the point across. Pokemon also have specific types, and similarly, we cannot control what type we are. Each type has its own strengths and weaknesses. A trainer has to learn what their Pokemon are strong and weak against and how to best use their stats and move pool to win. You too, in your journey of self-improvement, must discover for yourself where you are best fit. After you pick your starter Pokemon, you immediately come in contact with your rival. In Pokemon, it highlights how many potential rivals you can have in your life. We have the friendly rivals in games like Pokemon X and Y, and we have the antagonistic rivals in games like FireRed and LeafGreen. Both can push you to become better in different ways. The rival by inspiring competition inspires both parties to perform at a higher level of competency than they otherwise would have, and friendship, which encourages both parties to help them perform better. In real life, your rival can also be yourself. You might be the one truly limiting yourself more than anyone else. Soon after you start your adventure, you encounter a gym leader. A gym leader represents a challenge or goal that you want to reach. In the game, they have specific trainers that we must overcome in order to move on. Our gym leader can basically be anything. It can be passing that job interview, passing that test, benching 225, etc. In order to defeat the gym leader, you have to train. Training in the grass is synonymous with training in real life. You go through smaller challenges in hopes of you preparing for the big challenge. This is doing practice questions in anticipation for the big exam. Like Pokemon, through rigorous training, you can overcome your significant defects through nothing but pure power. Are you a Charmeleon facing Misty and have no super effective moves? Well, you can just train so ferociously hard until you become a Charizard, and you eventually brute force your way to success. Similarly, if you don't have the genetics, nature, or type advantage in real life, you can just brute force your way through it with incredible grit and indefatigable training. In the book Everything Bad is Good for You, How Today's Popular Culture is Actually Making Us Smarter by Steven Johnson, he talks about how the video games of the early 2000s are extremely effortful and provide gratification only after intense work. He says, "You'll often hear video games included in the list of debased instant gratifications that abound our culture, right up there with raunchy music videos and fast food. But compared to most forms of popular entertainment, games turn out to be all about delayed gratification." This is exactly what Pokemon is. It is consistent and necessary training leading to a big win. A big gratification reserved for the end. We often think of self-development as a singular profound moment where we suddenly become the alpha unbeknownst to our previous selves. But from the testimonies I usually hear, growth happens in small incremental steps. It's the result of thousands of seemingly insignificant steps that when multiplied over time, make big and significant outcomes. Another form of grinding is repeatedly playing against a gym leader. We've all done this. I, for one, remember being a kid and fighting Misty 50 times with my Charmeleon until I eventually won. For some reason I still remember this, but I got my Charmeleon up to level 28 before I eventually won. For reference, the Starmie was level 21. Anyways, the psychology behind this is superficially kind of absurd. We keep fighting, knowing we're going to lose, just to gain some small wins during the warm-up in hopes of eventually winning. This reminds me of a psychoanalytic concept called surplus enjoyment. Surplus enjoyment illuminates our human desire to search for something ethereally beyond pleasure from any given task. In this context, surplus enjoyment underscores how we learn to enjoy struggle. We derive pleasure from failure, or at least the possibility thereof. One of the best ways to infuse purpose in your life is to pursue something that you can repeatedly, yet fruitfully fail at. This method of training is about failing repeatedly, but seeing tangible progress. You dedicate yourself to some ideal, and it is precisely in your inability to achieve that success that you realize the necessity of pursuing said ideal. Christianity actually does this quite a bit. Christians pursue Jesus, their ultimate optim, but they know they can never reach him, and it's by not reaching him that they realize their need for him. They know they will fail again and again and again, but every time they fail, they know they're failing better than last time. In my book, Muscular Christianity, A Case for Spiritual and Physical Fitness, I describe it like this. As human beings, we can never reach our ideal, or our peak, or our genetic limit. It is impossible. We can always be better than whatever point we are at now. We keep inching closer, but we will never attain the ultimate ideal. We are like an asymptote curve reaching its vanishing point. An asymptote is a line that a curve approaches and gets closer and closer to, but ultimately never touches. It has no ending. Likewise, we only inch closer to our limit, but never actually make it. The endpoint is ambiguous, so we can only get close to our optimum, but never fully hit it. A similar idea holds true in our relationship with God. Just like being optimally fit is a never-ending pursuit, being Christ-like is a never-ending pursuit. The Bible always uses the language of us following God. There's no adjacent language used that implies we are ever equal to him or we can ever stop pursuing more of him. The implication is that we are constantly moving forward, following him, aiming at where he may be, and that he's always ahead of us. Christianity is about chasing that perfect ideal we can never reach, but finding transcendent purpose in its pursuit nonetheless. The Christian life isn't about avoiding damnation, it is about actively pursuing glorification. I get a lot more into that in my book if you're curious. Bringing this back to playing against gym leaders, gyms are well-calibrated challenges. By continually losing against them but becoming incrementally stronger, you are ultimately able to win. Pokémon is a well-designed game in that the scale and intensity of your development is directly commensurate to your effort. The results you gain from training are concomitant to the work you put in to get there. The more time you put into it, the stronger you become and are able to engage with more difficult challenges. In this way, the surplus enjoyment is fundamentally a kind of embrace of failure. It's something that allows you to fail repeatedly while successfully moving you forward. And if you're enjoying the video or getting any value out of it, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really does help the channel and this video out. Upon defeating the gym leader, you get a badge to represent your progress. In real life, this represents the video you took when you hit your bench press PR, or the certificate you obtained from your academic achievement. Each gym battle completed is a new badge and represents a new type, and thus, each new accomplishment is a new metaphorical badge for us representing a significant yet disparate accomplishment. Maybe one badge represents getting a job, another badge getting a girlfriend, another badge lifting a certain weight, etc. After you overcome the gym leader, you'll fight the evil team. The evil team in Pokemon Red and Blue specifically is basically just a distraction on your way towards your actual goal of becoming the champion. It's kind of funny, you sort of accidentally defeat this evil team on your way to achieving your actual goal, which has nothing to do with them. So what are the distractions in our life stopping us from being the best that we can be? This depends on the person, but we can start with a few examples like bad habits, procrastination, pornography, junk food, and drugs. You must overcome these to reach your peak. These things slow you down and are necessary to overcome to become the champion. In the midst of you fighting this evil, you will also have to fight random trainers. These are our daily challenges. Will you read a chapter today? If so, you defeated a trainer. Will you avoid temptation today? That's a battle won. These daily challenges are the best way to gain experience points aside from defeating gyms. This holds true in both Pokemon and real life. Next, let's talk about evolving. Evolving your Pokemon represents a significant physical and statistical advancement. This is akin to reaching a breakthrough insight. Maybe you start to think about things in a new way and now you're given an entirely new perspective. This new perspective will make you instantly improve and expedite the process of said improvement hereafter. Maybe you encountered a new skill that helps you unlock some latent potential unbeknownst to your previous self. For example, maybe you had strong legs before but you had knee issues preventing you from properly squatting. But once those issues are healed, it's like you evolved and are now able to pursue leg development in a way you weren't able to before. Since Mega Evolutions are back in Pokemon Legends, let's give them some attention. Mega Evolutions are temporary power-ups your Pokemon can receive if they have the corresponding item. A real-life analog to this will be something that can temporarily boost your stats. Think of something like reaching the flow state, getting a rage boost, or seeing your crush in the audience during a football game. Many other temporary boosts can be imagined, that was just to give you an idea. This sort of thing can act akin to your Mega Evolution. By this point in your adventure, you probably have a full Pokemon team. Your Pokemon team represents your growth as a trainer. You have chosen Pokemon that work and Pokemon that don't in pursuit of creating what you deem to be your ultimate team. Each member of the party represents something that you've learned about yourself. At this point, you've probably shuffled your team around a lot and have discarded the Pokemon that don't work in favor of the ones that do work and fit better. And all the Pokemon fit perfectly to resemble some cohesive whole. There's ample type coverage. There are Pokemon covering the weaknesses of other Pokemon and Pokemon that have moves covering their own weaknesses. In life, you similarly discard what isn't working and keep what is working. Bruce Lee said, "Absorb what is useful, discard what is not, and add what is uniquely your own." You choose what is useful for you, absorb it, and discard what isn't. After you've sufficiently gone through the vetting process, you add what is your own by training what is left in your own unique way. Not at all dissimilar to what you do in Pokemon. You can also look at the Pokemon as individual people. Each Pokemon represents a friend, an ally, a mentor, or a teacher that accompanied you on your journey. You've gone through a similar vetting process and have weeded out those not important to your journey and kept the ones who are. Each of them represents one facet of your life in which they are helping you. Friend 1 helps you with physical fitness, Friend 2 helps you with financial decisions, Mentor 1 helps your grand philosophical outlook, Teacher 3 helps you learn about those maidens of the fairer sex. Together, you and your Pokemon form a powerful force that will propel you to become the champion. At some point in your Pokemon adventure, you will encounter some legendary Pokemon. Legendary Pokemon in the games are unique creatures in a class above the rest. They can learn unique moves, they start out at a higher level, and have a higher base stat total. If we think about this in self-improvement terms, we can relate this back to what we said about starter Pokemon. These legendary Pokemon are those few people who seem like genetic outliers. They are the 150 IQ, the athletic outliers, and the smooth talkers or generally charismatic people able to get their way up to the highest heights of power in the business or political world. They can also be people born into lucky homes. They could be the children of celebrities or millionaires who are basically guaranteed success so long as they put a modicum of effort. But that's just the thing, they have to still put in effort. If they don't, they can be surpassed by just about everyone. They can even level down as opposed to leveling up, which isn't actually a thing in Pokemon but is absolutely a thing in real life. A level 30 Jirachi will have no chance against a level 85 Beedrill, for example. There's a saying that goes, "Hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard." We are living in such times as these. Most people in society are level 20 or 30, even the ones who may be considered legendary Pokemon. But you can build yourself up to level 70 and completely outclass them regardless of your base stats. We aren't a society in surplus of hard work and discipline, so use that to your advantage. You could be born weak, but if you started going to the gym 4 times a week for a year or so, you could probably end up looking better and being stronger than 70% of the population. Even a lot of genetically gifted people who have, for whatever reason, wittingly sheathed their talents. EVs, or effort values, are a hidden game mechanic in the Pokemon games. They influence a Pokemon's stat growth. By taking on selected battles, you can train your Pokemon to favor certain areas of growth. This helps them optimize their strengths and minimize their weaknesses. Similarly, in real life, it's important to focus on what you're training and maximize the things you actually want to maximize. In Pokemon, there's a limit to the number of effort values you can put into each stat. In real life, however, there isn't really a maximum number, or if there is, it is extremely vague and it's impossible to really tell. This is because of the interconnectedness of the stats. The effort values you put in one place are also effort values you put in somewhere else. For example, in your pursuit to becoming stronger and maximizing your strength, you are actually also increasing your endurance. So after all of this, you end up fighting the champion in Elite Four. This represents the long-term goal you had. Perhaps it's getting a wife and kids. Perhaps it's selling 1,000 copies of your book. While self-improvement is a never-ending pursuit, for the purpose of this video, we'll just call it the end here. This is the summit and culmination of everything you wanted to do and try to achieve. At this point, you have achieved your vision and become the person you wanted to be. I hope you enjoyed the video. I thought this would be a creative way to explain things. In the early years of my channel, I had a bunch of Pokemon videos. Don't watch them, just know that they exist. A lot of my later stuff is self-improvement based, either that be practical psychology or grand philosophies. This video is a mix of both of them, the old and the new. So that was fun. So anyways, like, comment, and subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll catch you all next time. Peace.